we are Hi, hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Manoj Atri, your host for today. We have just gone live right now. So, and we thought we had gone live earlier, but at this moment, this is the actual time that we have gone live. So, welcome to all of you. And we, as usual, are in our regular formats. We are going to cover in my real estate monologue, an article, Toronto New Home Sales Plunge. Again, this is your host, Manoj Atri. I'm a real estate agent with the Remax Hallmark. And we have our mortgage expert, Faisal Garcia, on the wait. And we will be in touch with him as we go along. So that would be the starting point for the real estate monologue. And then we are going to cover a very serious topic here. And again, here we are going to review an article. Is rent-to-own homes a solution if you cannot get a mortgage? And when we are reviewing this particular article, we will also provide you insights into our rent-to-own format and how much we deviate from this particular article and what exactly are the similarities and whatever are the differences in that particular article of ours. And we, as I've told you, we have our mortgage expert on wait at the moment. We will be in touch with him regularly and take his expertise as we go along. And with the nice weather today, much better than the last week, we should get a very good traction where we are and where we are going. So let's begin with the article of the today, and we will take it from there. Okay, let me give me a moment, and if I can take you to that particular article right there and then. Give me 1 second so that I get that article up and running. Yes, we have the article in place. And the article is Toronto New Home Sales Plunge as Buyers Reach Price Limit. Now, there was a certain reason that we picked up this one because we are finding in the market the things have changed quite a lot. And the reasons that they have changed a lot is there are two things that are going on in the market right now. One is that the prices have dropped down substantially. Yes, we are seeing that. But still, the average prices of the homes are still very high. And that is where, we are having difficulty in finding listings. And accordingly, the qualifying aspects for the prospects, that is where it is taking place. So we will review this. We will also take our mortgage expert review of these ones, and we will go along on this one. And we'll slightly go faster so we can cover our main article and go from there. New home buyers finally reached their limit in Toronto last year. After years of frenzied price increases, sales of new homes in Canada's biggest city sunk to the lowest in almost 2 decades in 2018, and the supply of unsold condos piled up, according to a pair of new reports released Friday. So this is by Bloomberg News, and that is what they are coming up, that the sales of new homes in Canada have sunk in almost 2 decades in 2018. And that is what they are guiding us. A greater caution should be taken when investing in new condo units. The market has started to normalize after unprecedented activity in recent years. Let's take our expert on this particular one and see what he has to guide us with this particular one. Give me a moment here. Yes, Faisal.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So this is a recent article, and the reason I picked up this one is because we are seeing the prices of properties from 2016 and 2017, they have gone down. And that is why I've picked up this one. And this one is picking it up. The report is about the new homes, but from the resale one also, we are finding that the prices have gone down.
Yes. So, okay. So that article, there's a couple of things to sort of keep in mind. One, it is only focusing on new homes, right?
Yes.
Number one.
Yes.
Number two, when you're buying a new home, you're automatically assuming certain risks. For instance, so let's just say someone is buying a home that will close in 60 days versus buying a home that will close in 2 years. What are the risks? And those risks make it, every risk has to come with the return, and the return is, the sales are plunged. And therefore, something has to be adjusted. And it's not adjusted yet. It will take some time. But in 2 years, as we've seen in the past, the mortgage rules change from time to time. Okay. The interest rate has slowly started to creep up. It went down, but it's still not stable, I would say. And there are other factors that are involved in new home. For instance, what you are promised on a piece of paper does not mean you would get there. There's a clause in it that says the square footage could be adjusted up to a certain percentage, and so on and so forth. There's a whole lot, but that's what I see. Because when the markets are slowing down, the products that have higher risk factors gets affected the most, and new home sales are usually the higher risk products, from my understanding.
Yes, the reason I picked up this one is because in the past 1 week, I mean, we were reviewing, me and you both, we were reviewing a few properties, and even the queries that we were getting from people. Few people have almost lost $50,000 to $100,000 in appreciation in the value if they bought it in the year 2016 and 2017. And so those who have bought a property in 2016, 2017, they are now seeing a depreciation in their value, whereas when we are going and showing properties, the listings are not there, so the supply and demand equation is also not there. So there are all these particular things going on, and even further in this particular article, they are requesting the government that the stress test should be reevaluated, and they are also going into the new home sales, or whether new construction is there. They have to be changed into the bylaws of how they give the permission and things, so and so forth. So let's dwell further into this article, and then we will pick it up again. Give me a moment here. Okay, so now let's again head to this particular article where it says, the reason that we are trying to get here is a greater caution should be taken when investing. At this moment, that is the gist that we are trying to pick it up from this particular article. The market has started to normalize after unprecedented activity in recent years. So that's what we are walking you through on this particular one. 2016, 2017, that craziness of 32-33% increase in the value, that unprecedented activity has normalized. So now we are seeing the regular 5 or 6% whatever goes on in the year-to-year basis, and that is what one has to be aware of. Toronto housing market is dramatically cooling after the higher interest rates and new mortgage regulations bite. So that's what we are. So the stress test that came into the picture has made the housing market dramatically cool. The city joins other global metropolises such as London and Sydney, seeing a slowdown as international investors retreat and domestic buyers balk at higher prices. Yes. So these are some of the global factors that are also consuming. Sales of new homes fell 25,161 from 2017. That's the lowest annual number since Toronto-based Alta started tracking the figures in 2000. Single-family homes plunging 50%, condos by only 4% below the 10-year average. So that is what we are coming down to, like there have been a change. There is a weakness building in condos as well. A record units, roughly 22,000 units are expected to be completed this year, up 29% from 2018, while 98% of these units are pre-sold. More than half were bought by investors who were either rent their units or sell them, the firm said. The number of unsold units in development jumped 47%. In the underdevelopment, they grew only by 0.4%. So that is what the slowdown in activity last year can partially be attributed to less demand from investors. So these are the highlights that are coming from there, who typically represents the largest component of new condominium purchasers in the Toronto region. This is the bottom line that we are heading into. The market is out of balance. So the reason that we are trying to pick up this article and trying to wrap our head around these particular things is what happened in 2016 and 2017, that is starting to normalize, but things have not again taken a very normal course. It is out of balance. Now, we join other industry groups in calling on the federal government to revisit the stress test and allow a longer amortization period for the first-time home buyers. And we look forward to working with our municipal partners on removing barriers to development such as excessive red tape and outdated bylaws. So those are the things, and let's head back to our expert and let's take again his expertise on this particular format. So that is what the bottom line, and the reason for me picking up is this particular article is the bottom line is that the market is out of balance, and whenever you are trying to invest or purchase, be cautious and be prudent in this particular one. Go ahead, sir.
So, you know what? Market is out of balance is the key word here, because as you said, the prices are not as much, like the number of listings are not there. Therefore, due to supply and demand, the prices are still up there. They're not as adjusted, number one. But I want to go back and explain one thing, is when is a good time to buy? It's always a good time to buy, as long as you can afford it and it's not your short-term investment. Because if you are trying to look for the bottom of the market, no one knows. Right?
Sure, true.
Right? Because you can never try to gauge, 2 months from now I'll buy and it will be lower. 2 months from now it could be double from today. As long as it fits in your affordability, you should make a call. Now, going back, I also want to address the point of 2017. See, 2017 was just out of control. So right now what we're comparing is comparing to 2017, that was a super high peak market. If you compare it to 2015, 2016, we're still in the growth mode. So one of the year we had quite a high peak, and that's, if you compare the highest to today, yes, there's a downward slope. But if you compare the actual graph for like last 10 years or so, it's progressive growth.
Absolutely. See, this is the reason, again, we are dwelling onto this particular one, and I'll try to pinpoint out to a couple of things in here. There were some other articles which I was reviewing, and they are on the basis of what happened in the, so let's just review these 2 years, 2016 and 2017, when the market went crazy for 33% high rise. Those people who had bought during this particular period of time, their value has depreciated drastically. So now, if you are trying to purchase a property, try to figure out property's value up to 2016, up to the end of 2015, I would say, December 2015, and then add the normal 5, 6, 7% and try to see what should be the price's value in 2018 and 19, and you may be able to make a prudent decision, because those people who were stuck in those 2 years, they are now have gone down. And even I was reading an article, because of those, see, there will be some adjustment because a few of them may not be able to hold on to their particular properties because the depreciation value has gone quite low, even $50,000 to $100,000. And now for them to regain that 50 or 100, they may require another 3-4 years more to settle down. So they may have to hold it out. And that is where your expertise there, like if you had bought prudently, you will sustain it. And if it's not a short term, and that was the right term there, you cannot buy on the basis of a short term, because that is where the cycle must have gone wrong. If some of them may have bought on the speculation in 2016 and 2017, then there is a problematic year, a couple of years for them, because they will have to hold it out.
Sir, see, as long as, so there are two ways clients buy, and I'm just going to make this quick because since time runs out very quickly. There's either a buyer for someone who wants to live in the home, or it's an investment. In either of the case, the person has to be understood, and you explained this very well to the client, and our process has this already in the explanation process, that if one of the year is not the greatest, you just hold it. You don't get rid of it. For instance, I can point out number of events when you had mentioned to our mutual clients that, no, Faisal, I think they should hold it for one more year. Otherwise they will have a loss, or they may not have enough profit. So I've seen that multiple times in our conversation, and that's the goal. If someone is trying to make a short-term profit, that also has to be understood that yes, you may have short-term profit on few properties, but there is a chance that one or two of your property may not have that, and you must be willing to take that chance if you're only a short-term investor.
Yes, on these points notes, and again highlighting it, the market is like quite out of whack and it's out of balance, and I think so, like in case if we are reviewing it properly, by 2019 there should be some kind of a semblance to this format, because Airbnb is also playing a role, renting is also becoming an issue, and there should be some other units coming back into the market. So there are some things, because those 2 years which had gone crazy are now will take another 2 or 3 years, and we are now, 2018 was 1 year, 2019 maybe the second year, where by the end of this year we may see some proper semblance to all this. And in case if they go for a revision of this stress test and the development as being requested by lots of experts there, so we will see some semblance there.
We should be able to, but one thing I do like to point out is, see, these are all external factors that you, myself, or the buyer has no control over. What the buyer, you and I have control over is buying prudently.
Yes. Yes.
If you buy prudently and you've done all your due diligence and you've got expert help on every level, chances of you suffering a loss are quite insignificant.
Very true. Okay, let's head over to our main article for today. So let me take our clients today, our audience today there, and walk you through this particular very, very important article that we are reviewing. And the topic is rent to own. Is this a solution if you cannot get a mortgage? Now, I am going to review this article for you. And alongside this particular article, I am going to give you my expertise on this particular one. So let me see if I can take you to that particular article and start getting it reviewed. Give me a moment here. Let me see if I have my article ready. And we've had a good idea about the rent to own on this news article, news clip there. Now let's get over, and I'll start here. Home ownership can be a pipe dream for some Canadians. Okay, at this particular moment of time, I will take a wee bit of an explanation how this particular rent to own, what exactly is rent to own. I'll give you a brief synopsis, and we'll keep on going back between this article and trying to explain you some of the other things, and let's see if I can make it easy for you. Okay, so let me head back to the power presentation and explain you something of this sort. Okay, now I'll take a moment of a very brief moment and regarding our rent to own program, and why do we call it as a smart rent to own program. And this you will be able to understand that we are able to walk you through the various alternatives you can have before you jump into this rent to own. And that is why we call it smart program. And we are going to give you some of the nuances so that at least you can wrap your head around what exactly is this rent to own program and how in our format we have made it a bit smarter. And that is what we are heading it over, how we have made this program smart for you. And that is what we will be trying to explain it to you over a period of this particular webinar tonight. Okay, so let's head back to the power presentation here. And I think so I have had a freeze in my PowerPoint, so give me a moment here. And as soon as I get head up here, I should be able to take you there. Yes. Now let's explain you something, and the main thing is, what is a rent to own home in simple terms? Okay. In extremely simple terms, it is that you are not buying today but tomorrow. It cannot get simpler than this. Okay. So rent to own, that means you're renting now, you will be owning down the line, and you're not buying today, you're buying tomorrow. And this a photograph may explain it to you. Closed, see you tomorrow. So that is where my brief is. And let's give you now, this tomorrow can be anywhere from 1 to 5 years term. And the reason why I'm taking you 1 to 5 years term is because most of the investors do not feel comfortable after the 5-year term. And now, why are we bringing the investor in between? We are bringing the investor in between because he is the person who buys the property out for you and you do a rent to own from him. That is our format. In the market, you may have different other formats. So you will have to check it out with each and every different rent to own program. How is their format? So I'll be walking you through my format and making sure that each and every rent to own program may have some similarities, but they may be completely quite different. So you may have to check up numerous rent to own programs and work with different people and to see how they program is in accordance and what is the difference. So I'm walking you through from the investors format that we have, and this is how we are working it over. And now, second thing, you have to understand and comprehend this term very well. Rent to own. So down the line, you will have to buy the property after the end of the term. So it is not that, because there are so many people, they think you are going to rent and renting it over for 25 years from them and then you will be able to purchase it. No, that's not the case. You are renting it over for a period between 1 to 5 years, and after that you have to purchase the property. So there is a qualification for buying. So the buying element is there, and that is why you have to understand you are not buying today. So the buying element is there, owning element is there, and that has to be understood. So it is not it goes for years and years. It has a time frame, and after that time frame you have to purchase it. So when we say buy, the element of you getting qualified for a mortgage, that comes into the picture. So that is the gist that we are trying to explain it to you here, and that has to be understood in completeness, and that is where the thing is. So let me see if I can get some other clarifications in there. Give me a moment here. I will be just making sure we are, if there is any other comments or in the chat or not. So I was just let's go to the next part of it. And this is important. What is a rent to own homes program? Okay. Now the reason I take extra time in order to walk you through this particular is because this is how we perceive it at our end. Different rent to own programs will have a different format. In our format, and that is where we are. That is how we have perceived this program, and that is how we put it together, and that is the reason we are explaining it to you here. From our point of view, it is a worst case scenario, and you have to comprehend to this particular one. Okay, the reason we call it's a worst case scenario is, number one is the mortgage. Let's explain you what exactly is a mortgage. So now you are not able to procure a mortgage from anywhere. That, and secondly, important, and let's say suppose you have goofed up other rental properties and somehow no one is even giving you a property to rent. You absolutely have ran out of all your choices. All your alternatives are done. That is when you have the down payment, you have the income, your credit score may be a mess, and you may be qualified for a rent to own homes program. So that is something, that is how we explain it, because if you do not understand this, and also very importantly that you have to understand, it is a very, very costly program. Worst case scenario, we are addressing it, but we want to know, want you to be aware, of this particular format before you jump into it, because after 2 or 3 months and then you start suddenly saying, oh, it's a very costly program. We are telling you up front, yes, it is a costly program. It is a worst case scenario. Yes, we are explaining you it's a worst case scenario. Once you have gone through these particular things and you have ran out of options, we can put it together for you in a very smart format. But before we start this particular process, we want you to be aware of these particular things, and that is why we are taking extra steps in walking you through this particular thing. Okay, so now let's head back to the article for a moment and see if I can give you more heads up on that particular article. Okay, home ownership can be a pipe dream for some Canadians. So what can tenants do if they want to buy the home they're already living in? Okay, and the article writer, the writer takes an opportunity to look at how the rent-to-own homes programs works. Most Canadians probably haven't heard about rent-to-own housing. Yes, very true, because unlike the United States, this arrangement is pretty rare in Canada. Okay, and that is where lots of things are going differently here in Canada, and that is why we are taking this particular opportunity to explain to you where things are and where they are going. So that I am just checking up on in case if there is any other comments there, and that is the reason I'm just deviating slightly. Okay, now let's see why are we emphasizing on this particular, or we are coming up with this particular program here is soon, but that may soon change as rising interest rates and tighter housing rules make it harder to qualify for a mortgage. Yes, this program has taken some interest from prospects because the things in the market have changed quite a lot. Let's read this one. So rent to own is an alternative route to home ownership for those who cannot obtain financing due to poor credit. Absolutely. Or because they don't have enough money for a down payment, or both. Now, let's wait it out here at this particular juncture, and let's take our experts review for this for a moment, and then we are going back to come over and start reading this particular again, and let's see what our expert has to add onto it. Faisal sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did I make myself clear that it is a very costly program and it is a worst case scenario? So before you jump into it and thinks, I can get away with first and last month rent and my income is not in a question. No, they are not. It is absolutely everything similar to a buying process. Go ahead, sir.
Absolutely. So you're right, and it's a good place to start, where it's a worst case scenario, because it is actually the worst case scenario. There are some companies that make it sound that it's great. Like if you're renting, you should start the process. You should just do rent to own and so on and so forth. And then the client gets stuck because one thing we have to keep in mind, and we've always done this with our clients, is look past the 2 years, 3 years mark. Because at the end of 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, whatever the term the tenant and the property owner agrees to, we have to make sure that the client qualifies for a mortgage. So income comes into the play. Credit score has to be in line by then, and the down payment has to be accumulated by then. So, and we also have to make sure understand that we're not buying on today's rate, today's price. We're buying on futures price. So every year there is an appreciation that's been added to the property that was bought.
Absolutely.
So all in all, it's I cannot really compare to a new build, but there are similar risks that are involved.
Yes, yes. In the end, that is what I mean, whether it is this webinar or whether I have talked to them numerous times, I need to make, I just want them to fully understand it is not the best cup of tea. It is the worst case scenario. Once you understand that, and the reason we are explaining it to you is there are nth number of other alternatives before you jump into this one. And that is, you have to avail of all those opportunities. And that is where we come into the picture to walk you through. Now, I mean, you have run out of all your options because let's just suppose, let me go back to the article because I'll be able to walk them through the finer details here and let them comprehend this one again. So let me head back there. Okay, we were explaining, and I'm going to go back on, give me 1 second here. I'm going to go back on the article there. Yes, I'm back on the article. So this particular thing, this is where we are slightly deviating from this particular article. Okay, let me walk you through here. Rent to own is an alternative route to home ownership for those who cannot obtain financing due to poor credit. Yes, we stop at this particular, up to this particular one, we are in the same line with the article. Or because they don't have enough money for a down payment. We do not accept this 100% because even rent to own requires a down payment. And that is where our difference is there. So there is up to, we stick here, financing due to poor credit. Okay. Now let's head back to our format and let's explain you there why we get stuck up at this particular one. Let's see here. And let's give you an idea who is the best program qualifier here. And there are 3-4 scenarios that I have picked up, and let's see if which one is the best one. If you do not have all the other qualifications, so basically that's what we are trying to explain it to you. It is absolutely similar to a buying process, except you are fixing your credit. Okay, so except repairing credit. If you have no down payment and you say you want to do a rent to own program, no, it doesn't work there. Even for rent to own, you require a down payment. And now this amount of down payment, I'll explain you why you need a down payment in detail as we go along. But yes, you do require a down payment. The amount of down payment will vary from various companies. Some may get you away with 2 and 4%. Others may require 5 to 7%. In our case, we generally require 5 to 7% minimum. And that is where our investors are at a comfortable level. Now, second one was good credit score. If you have good credit score, we can get a mortgage for you. If you are running short on the down payment, we will walk you through some of the programs that are there where you can get an assistance with the down payment if your credit score is good. If your credit score is above 600, there is a possibility you may get a mortgage. If your credit score is above 680, you may get a cashback from the bank. If you are running on a short on a down payment, you can also borrow from family and friends. You can also get qualified. You may have RRSP, and that is where all those down payments formats can come in over through. So you have to be, if you have a good credit score, this program is not for you, because it is a worst case scenario. It's a very costly program. Now, next scenario, let's say suppose you are in a consumer proposal. Okay, again, from your point of view, consumer proposal, past bankruptcy, yes, you should be the best, you should be able to get into this particular one. But at this moment, we do not have investors who are willing to wait for that period of time. Because let's say suppose you are in a consumer proposal. You may be in a consumer proposal for 1 year, maybe 3 years. So let's say suppose you are there for 2 or 3 years, and then after you finish and get discharged, you may take another 1 or 2 years more to get reestablished. Now you may have crossed the 5-year format where our investors are comfortable. So from our point of view, consumer proposal should work, but our investors do not work in that particular term for 4 or 5 years. So that is why we are not able to pick it up. Some of other rent-to-own programs may pick it up from there. And for our program, the only format that works at this moment is that you have good income, you have the down payment. The only issue that is missing is bad credit score, and you have understood that it's a worst case scenario. It's a very costly program, and you have understood those parts, and you would like to have ran out of all your alternatives, and you require 1 year or 2 years for your credit score to be fixed up. You are the absolutely perfect for the rent-to-own program, though we have already explained it to you. It's not the best case scenario. Okay, now I'll take you another way of explaining it from a point of view of your credit score. So now let's say suppose your credit score is below 500. You may be the best one to go for this particular rent-to-own program. Okay, let's give you a HUD. The minimum down payment will be 5 to 7%. So you have to have good income to support that particular one. Investors are also not speculating on your income, and you will require 5 to 7% down payment. Investors prefer 1 to 3 years program because, as you can see, the market goes up and down, and lots of investors are not very comfortable. And again, the appreciation that goes on every year, it may become very difficult for you to sustain on that. It's a good format if you're living it within the 1 to 3 years rent-to-own homes program. Purchase price depends on your annual gross income. Yes, 4 times for a condo, 4.5 times if your credit is good, and if your credit is excellent above 700, we may even go up to the 5 times your income, annual gross income. So those are the scenarios for the rent-to-own. Best for credit repair. If now your credit score is between 501 to 600, we will suggest you go for a credit repair, because we have the mortgage expert, and he is doing an excellent job in getting the repair done, and he may be able to get you the rent-to-own, the credit repair done within even 3-4 months, even 6 months. So you may be, and let him go through it. He may be able to repair your credit much faster. So why get into a rent-to-own costlier program when this can be addressed? It is faster to get your purchase addressed than trying to do a rent-to-buy. Use down payment accumulation and assistance if required. So those are the formats for best credit repair formats there. Now, if your credit score is above 601, we can guide you to get your mortgage addressed right away there and then. Now, that is what we are explaining it to you. So you don't need to go for that particular program. We can get a mortgage done for you. Use the down payment accumulation and the assistance if required. We have numerous ones that we can get you addressed with this particular one. So now let's head back to the article there, and let me get you the article back again there. Give me a moment here so I can take you back to the article. So that is where it's all coming to the picture, that if your credit is poor, yes, that is one scenario that we will guide you with this particular one. The idea is that you rent to own home for a certain period of time. We have walked you through that our investors work within 1 to 5 years time with the goal of buying the property at the end of your lease. Yes, if you do not purchase it, you can lose your down payment. You can lose your every year that you have saved on further down payment on this particular one. If all goes according to plan, by then you will have repaired your credit. Yes, it is very important, and that is why from day one we put you with credit repair, that at the end of that particular term you should be able to procure a mortgage, and that is where those things come in over effective. And that is why, I mean, as far as we were reviewing this particular article, is rent to own the solution if you cannot get a mortgage? I would say it is yes, with prudence, provided you have ran out through all the other options and making sure the only factor, the difference between the buying and the rent to own, is that you are fixing your credit for that period of time. It is not that you don't have, all the other factors should be falling in place. Let's head up over to our expert, and we are also, hi Faisal sir. Did you get a clarity in that particular explanation that I had it there?
You are extremely right. It's a worst case scenario. Two, not everyone should go for it. They should explore all the other options.
Yes.
And we've been successfully able to help multiple clients get into a home without having to go through rent to own. I can name handful if I need to, where we started with one. That's what the client came in for. But as soon as we start to go through the process, we sort of realize that maybe you should try this. And sometimes the client is hesitant to even try. But when we say we should try this, we have done it in the past.
We have done numerous ones, which we have been able to guide them until and unless they have ran out of all the options on the table.
Absolutely.
And even at that stage, we have walked them through. This is the most costly. It is the most worst case scenario. You have to comprehend that particular one, because it is a waste of everyone's time here. Mm-hmm. They have gone and seen properties, and then in the end they say, no, we cannot afford this on a per month basis, because not only you're paying all those funds, plus you have to pay extra towards more down payment, because you may have started with 5% down payment, and mm-hmm. in order that you are safe and you should be able to purchase, you may have to reach the 10% down payment format.
Absolutely.
And even the value of the properties on the basis of the income has to be there. So you don't have to make sure that your income qualifies for today's value of the property, but it has to qualify for the appreciated value of the property.
Absolutely.
So those are all the things that have to come in over there. And for today's, I'm trying to wrap it up within the 1 hour mark. because that is also one of the feedbacks that I have constantly got. Let's keep it within the 1 hour mark. We have another 5 minutes to go, and I will take your more say onto that one. Let me go and get these particular things highlighted. If one is the expert websites, so I'm going to take you over to 2 of his websites which are doing awesome jobs, and the clients should be going there. So let me take all of you to that particular one. So give me a moment here. Yes. Before we wrap it up, let me take you over to our experts' two websites. One is faisalgarcia.com. So that's his full name.com. And you can go there for all your mortgages expertise there and queries, and if you need to use him for mortgage purposes. And this is the very important one where he's doing a remarkable job, and that is credit repair. And the website is called creditrepairnow.ca, and where he has done wonders to quite a number of clients, and you will be surprised that how he picks up your credit report and score and does wonders, and even does settlements for various other people. And you should be able to, if you are in need of that, that is before you jump into the rent to own, get your credit repair addressed, and that is where you should begin. And now I will take the opportunity also to walk you through 2-3 of my websites that where you can get more information regarding this. Okay, so for rent to own, all of these links are in the description, and you can go and head up there. And that is, one is rent to own homes, manojatri.com/tour homes. And even if you come on my website, on the sites you will see rent to own homes. You can click on this one and reach there. If you're looking for zero down with the cashback program, I'll be more than happy to walk you through. For power of sale latest listings, you can email it to me. I'll be more than happy to email you the latest power of sale listings in the on the market there. And we also, in case if you're running into a problem, we have experts and investors who are willing to buy your houses in any GTA area and any condition. Excuse me. And this is one of the more important ones, free online home searches. Once you click on this particular one, you should be taken over to a page where it says free online multiple listing home search. Fill in your information, and then on the next page you should be able to fill in your search criteria, and you should be able to see many real estate listings in all the areas that you are comprehending. If you want to see any of our previous webinars, go to here on the webinar page, and this is the webinar page that is there where you have come and registered most of the time. And on this particular one, if you will scroll down, you have all our previous webinar videos, and you can get more information on our previous webinar videos. And this is the last page that I always walk you through. This is where you can subscribe, which is again in the description, MA in Real Estate, and there you can come and subscribe to my email newsletter where I come and curate 8 to 10 articles daily basis, and giving you a complete heads up of where the Toronto GTA market is and where it is heading, and with other insights there. Let's wrap it up today with our expert there, and let him give a clear picture on about both the articles today, and we will wrap it up with the 1 hour mark in question, sir. You're mute, sir. You're mute.
Sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
There's not a whole lot that I need say after what you've already mentioned, and I'm going to try and cut this very quick. I want the audience to understand that what we have done over the number of years, I think over a decade now, the resources we've developed are not just easily available. Therefore, this process that you have from a client coming to you and exploring every option and going through that, it's not something every person out there has access to. It's something you and I have sat down multiple times, gone through 1, 2, 3, the number of investors developing, having a system, going through repairing credit, RSP loans, you name it. There's tools that we have in the tool bag that not everyone has. So I want the audience to understand that, because that is key. What happens is audience, there are clients we've helped in the past that have gone to other realtors and other professionals and have come to us and said, why did my previous professional did not mention this? The tools you and I have developed over more than a decade, they're not easy to develop. And it takes time, effort, energy, sometimes investment of many different ways to actually develop. So I want the audience to take this with them, that what we're doing is outside the box. It has come together with a lot of efforts that not everyone has access to.
Absolutely. Very well said. And on that high note, I will wrap it up for today. We will be there next Monday, 7 to 8 p.m. and look forward to seeing you again there. Thank you again. Thank you very much, Faisal. Thank you for your expertise.
Thank you, Arjun.
We will see you next week.